Hi, everyone. Welcome, everyone, to another yet edition of our Waste Community Office Hours. I am not here alone today. I have a few people that I have the honor to be joined by here today. First of all, we have Brett, who is a new addition to our to the Waste Communities team. And he is here because he will be hosting the next office hours, and he will be joining our live streamings and accompanying you. Brett, do you want to say hi to everyone?
I do. Hey, everybody. I'm Brett. I'm the new coordinator. I'm the new community manager who's going to be working with APAC communities. Shout out to all of my communities out in the Asia Pacific region. And I'm also going to be, as Mauro said, in his absence, be hosting these webinars for office hours and maybe some other things too. We have a lot of content planned for you guys in the upcoming months, and we're very excited to share it. And we're going to miss Mauro because he is the host with the most, and I am looking very forward tepidly to filling his shoes.
So as Brett just mentioned, I'm going to be away from the office or from work for a few months now because I'm becoming a dad. So I will be on paternity leave for the next few months. So I'm sure that you will be. I'm absolutely sure that you will be in the best hands possible here, accompanied by Brett. So yeah, basically that, and I'm sure you'll do great, and he will be a great host for you in our office hour sessions. So if without further ado, I'm also joined by two other great members of the Waste team. We have Tim, which is a familiar face to all of you guys. And we have also Jake. They're both from our marketing team. Kudos to our marketing team. And they are planning amazing things that they are currently, they are going to be sharing with you in this session. So we have, as I said, we have a great program for today. We hope you all enjoy it. That you grab a cup of coffee. And before I pass it on to Jake and team, I'd like to remind everyone that in the bio of the YouTube video, we have our Q&A form. Please ask all your questions about marketing and all that you see, any doubts that you have about the presentation, please make sure to enter it there so that team and Jake are able to go over them and answer any questions that you guys have. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it on to Tim. Thank you for joining us today, and please take it away.
Great, thank you so much. I think, can you guys see my screen now? Welcome everyone. It's super exciting to see you, even though we are virtual. Been quite several months since I have talked to you directly, but good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm also super excited to share with you Jake. I know you've met me before several times, but we are just two people who represent a much expert and amazingly capable marketing partnerships team. I run our global marketing team, and I get the pleasure to work with Jake, who is a creative lead. Jake, do you want to say hi?
Hi guys, lovely to meet you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, so I'm the creative lead, and I work on Tim's team. Tim is my boss, and yeah, together we help make a lot of the stuff that that we'll be taking you through.
So super excited to share with you today some very upcoming things that we're excited about, that we want you to be aware of, that I've kind of teased before, and I said I'd come back and show you when we're ready. So we're ready to share some of that with you. So we have three things that we would like to take you through today. One is just highlighting how the community has become part of our external story. something I've mentioned to you, which was very important to me, is the community and the work that you do is fundamental to why Waze is Waze. It's one of the things why I came to Waze, because I was so excited about what you've done. And we wanted to make sure that that is part of what the rest of the world knows. So how do we make sure that's part of our comms and marketing that goes external? So we wanted to show you a little bit of that and what is to come still on that. We wanted to give you a first peek at a tool, a marketing tool that I had previously talked about, which is called the Waze Brand Center. And I'll wait for that section to give you more details on that. And then finally, Waze Knows, which is a new creative platform that we've been working on and we've started to test and market, but you'll start to see this more and more. And we have some thoughts on how you might be able to help us with that. So a lot of great stuff to share with you today. So highlighting the community as part of our external story. As I mentioned, this is something that we think is really fundamental. It's part of what differentiates us, is what makes us special. And your voice, your contributions, we want to make sure we can really put those forward and have the rest of the world know that. In the past year, so the stuff that I'm going to go through is really do with 2020 into right now 2021. We've really tried to find opportunities for that, even during COVID. And some things that hopefully you have seen and heard about were things like the Wazer Appreciation Week that we did last August, where we had different stories about what was happening in terms of how we, the community, but also our users are doing things to help neighborhoods, as well as COVID. We were able to highlight folks like Mike M from Brazil or Maria S from Italy and their contributions for the Wazer Appreciation Week. When we look at COVID, we were able to feature 8 different community members and the different efforts, including testing centers that we helped support. Something that we did at the end of the year was all the moods of 2020. It was quite a year. We had a lot of feelings for what 2020 was, but the amazing part of that is how we all, including what you've done, helped us stay productive and help make sure we were adding value to our users and keeping them going and making sure they got to go where they were going. So we were able to feature folks like Mark from Louisiana about adding lanes and just making sure they were getting the best possible guidance, or Antonio from Portugal and all the amazing stuff that him and the team are doing. So there's just so much good stuff. And this is just the tip of the iceberg of what we were able to do last year. This year, you've started to see some things. In the past week, it was International Women's Day, and we featured 5 different community members, Susanna, Kelly, Ellen, Kathy, and Kate, around the world, and what they do and how that is so important. And it was a great opportunity, and we want to do more things like that, but that just happened a week ago. You'll start to see in some of our social and other online platforms, we are featuring how we call it under the hood. Like, how do we calculate real-time ETAs, or how did we actually put these all these food banks on the map? And we're making sure we're bringing the community forward in how you have assisted with us with that, as well as pushed us forward with that. And so folks like Michelle, we've highlighted. Hila is a superstar to us all. I know we all love and appreciate, and we are putting her out there as well. So making sure that we are putting her forward and be an amazing megaphone for all of the work that you do and the stories that we're able to share. So again, I'm just touching on some of what is out there, but there's so much more that we have been doing and plan to do. One thing that we've talked about is when people come to Waze.com, we want to make sure that when you go there, you see the community, not just the stories, but actually the folks. So you'll start to see that we have a page that we have on Waze.com for the community and how we started to feature within our event last year for Waze On. But we're going to be doing more, and a little bit of sneak peek of some content that's coming up is in early Q2. So in the April-May timeframe, we're going to be continuing to upgrade that online presence. More the value proposition, more the amazing stuff that you're doing, but also featuring some of you. We want to make sure that we're able to show you and have the rest of the world see the amazing work we're doing. So you'll see Waze.com improving pretty dramatically to show that. And there's so much more that come. Lisa D, hopefully you're out there today. She's going to actually participate in a new series called Your Last Five Drives, where we talk to both community members or users about tell us one of the last five places you went with Waze, and we want to feature that as just a very human story about why people use Waze. We have a new April blog post coming up that's going to highlight the community and so much more. There is a form that in the chat, someone from the community team here will put a link to. It's a Google form. If you have a story, if you have something that you thought was interesting, we want to know about it because we want to feature it in our upcoming marketing. And so we have a team that it will receive that, and they will reach out to you in a timely fashion and set up time to talk it through. So this link will be dropped in the chat momentarily. But please let us know, because we make it a pretty easy process for you, and hopefully we can give you a platform to really tell your story. And so thank you to everyone who has given your time. I realize that is the most valuable thing you have given away is your time, your passion, and energy. So thank you, and hopefully we can show more of that moving forward. There is one more thing that we are working on for the community as it relates to this, in that we want to really build a campaign for you that celebrates the community and really puts you in a hero status. So what I've showed you is how we're doing editorial and putting out interesting pieces of content for people to read. But is there more that we can do? Because we just really believe you are the lifeblood of what Waze is. So some of you have been actually in touch with a member of my team, Hen, who's been doing some interviews with you. So if Hen has reached out to you, if you talked to, she's part of this effort. We hope to share something in May and June on what this campaign could be, and it is a creative campaign. Jake, in a little bit of this presentation, is going to take you through something called Waze Knows, and it's basically how do we do a Waze Knows equivalent for the community? How do we actually create something that both celebrates the community, could attract new members to the community, and makes you excited about us celebrating what you do? So we want to take, right now, we want to take this to 11 and really celebrate you out in the market. So we will come back in a couple of months and share more of what we believe that campaign can be and how you can help participate in that. The Waze Brand Center. So something, I've been with Waze now for 2.5 years, and one of the first things I learned when I went to my first meetup with the community is we need more stuff. Whether that stuff was, can you give us access to a logo, or can you give us things that we can post on social media? And I know our community team has done a great job in giving you certain things and certain kits, but we knew we could do so much more for you as well as our other partners out there. So I mentioned before that we wanted to create like an extranet for this and for you guys to have access to, and I'm happy to announce today that we have done this. It's called the Waze Brand Center. It is a new website dedicated to all things Waze. So everything from how do we design for Waze, how do we have, what is the voice and tone, and official logos and icons that you can download. Like this guy, I gotta see, like this guy right here, like this mood. Just guys, can you give it to me? Because I know many of you are very enthusiastic and you get into Illustrator and Photoshop and you kind of mock up your own things, but we actually have designers who can help with that. So we've created a lot of this. Today, I want to give you a very brief tour of the brand center. We will be working with the community managers to reach out to you to give you who should have the right permission. There is a permission structure here. So what I'm asking you is not to go say giving the website the second. We will very shortly after this be reaching back out and setting up those permission structures with you. But this is currently live. So what I want to do, make sure I can do this well. Let me exit here, come here, is hopefully you can see this. This is the live website. It's fully in production. And it really is a place where all things Waze come to life. And this is meant, again, for folks like you, other partners who help put Waze out into the world, everything from the foundations, about the brand and what does it mean, to common questions about the Wazer itself, like can I have the Wazer and can we download those files and how do you actually put that together? Logo type, so this is the word mark and having access to that. Moods is a common request of, I love that mood, could I actually get that? And also, what are some of the rules in creating a mood? to even icons that that are in the app that we put into marketing and what those look like and how we think about those. So it is a very comprehensive website. It goes into other things like the tone of voice and how do we start, what does it mean to speak Waze in a Wazy way? And so we have guidelines here. I'm going very quickly, guys, because there's so much here. We showcase things that we think worked really well. So I'm just showing you everything selected, but things that we think are really good ways that are templates that could be put out into the world to be ways. And probably the thing that you really care about are the resource section. So a section where we created starter kits, whether it's a base kit of certain assets, or if you are interested in doing something in digital, like on social, or you might be printing something, we've created kits that put it all together, as well as individual download links to the main assets that we know people want. These download to a zip file. And so we're really excited to share this with you and others, because we hope that you can take Waze to all the corners that you hope Waze to be showing up in, and hopefully it makes it a lot easier. So we will be working with our community managers on a permission structure for this, but it is something that we've been super excited about. We've been working really hard on, and it is going to be organic, meaning as we talk about new things and come back, this will hopefully be your one-stop shop to get all things Waze that you need. And if something's missing, we want to know about it, because we want to put it up there for you and make sure that we have it in the right way for you to use it. So super excited to share with you the brand center. We will be, after this meeting, reaching back out through you and getting the right permission structures set up. So that is the brand center. And then finally, wanted to talk to you about Waze Knows. Some of you have potentially seen this. I've hinted at this before. We wanted to find new ways to go to market, where we actually started to bring Waze more forward to help with things like growing new users, engaging our current users, and do more with Waze. And is there a way that we could do that actually was inherently Waze and felt and makes everyone smile, but feels like Waze is in there, and it doesn't feel coded. It doesn't feel like something that's not Waze. It feels very much Waze, and it can become marketed campaigns for us. Jake has been working very hard on this for well over a year now, and we started to test it. So I'll talk about the testing in a little bit, but I'm going to hand this over to Jake now to take you through what specifically Waze Knows is and show you some of the work.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. So yeah, Waze Knows in its very simplest form is this, right? It's really you can kind of see it. It's like a merger of two things, right? Hopefully this isn't too complicated, but what it really is showcasing Waze features, community partners, and product innovations, right? So that might be really talking about what we know, and that might be things like potholes on the road or the most updated map, or that might be talking about other things that we know with our audio partners. But it's also merging this idea of we know that Waze knows what it's like to be a user, to live in, I don't know, like just for regular users to have their day be complicated and need to get somewhere, and that might be with kids or without kids, or that might be to interviews or meetings or doctor's appointments or whatever, right? So what we're trying to do with this campaign or this creative platform is to merge what we know, quite literally, like the information and the data that we have with the map, and also merge that with understanding of users' lives, right? Because really what Waze is there for is to make the road a better place for millions of people around the world. Okay, so I guess the idea behind Waze Knows is really it's a creative platform, right? And a creative platform is kind of like a fancy name for just an idea that helps us promote Waze in a unique way, right? Consistently across channels and markets. So when I came to Waze, we didn't have one way to talk to people in different regions. So that might be the US, the UK, or Brazil, or France. It was all different messages all the time. And we looked different, right? And so you can see that with the rebrand that we've done. And that was in the brand center that Tim showed you, that we've really organized the way we turn up from a design perspective, how we've turned up visually. And this is really an idea of how we turn up from a conceptual standpoint. How do we talk to people in a unique way that is completely ownable to Waze? So, and so what that really means for a lot of people, if you think about most people on the street, you know, like average people, that in their brain, they really just have a little space for Waze, and we need to make it really easy for them to remember us and remember what we can do for them, right? So it's a bit like if you imagine, I don't know, even like like Nike or something is Just Do It. For most people, they just have a tiny little space and they go, oh yeah, Nike, that's what they stand for. They stand for doing things and really encouraging me to be active, right? For us, it's just about people understanding that we are known for knowing, right? So just Waze knows, and that's really what we want to stand for, and that's how people can remember us, and hopefully that sticks in people's heads a little bit. Cool. So this video here is just to explain what it is. Really, it's kind of it's a video to explain what Waze Knows is, and really dig into the idea behind Waze Knows and how we connect with drivers and how we connect drivers to what we know about the road and how to explain it. So if we play this through, hopefully it should be pretty straightforward. Okay.
You know, guys, we want to be respectful of your time. We'll see how we can share this to you. It's a great way to bring it to life, but there are other ways that we can show you how we bring it to life. So I'll hand it back to you, Jake.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we'll try and show you that video because it's a really wonderful video that just explains everything about Waze Knows and how it connects with people. But one way that we do turn up in its most simplest form is this idea of just Waze Knows headlines, right? So this might be a billboard and it might say Waze knows one driver's traffic report is another's traffic alert. Just trying to bring this very simply, this idea of people reporting and alerts and how that works for people on the road. And same here, that might be Waze Knows real-time road reports means real accurate ETAs. And it might be another way that we turn up is like this. If you're wondering if you'll be kinda late or friendship damagingly late, Waze Knows. And I think what's important about, if you just jump back one for me, Tim, I think what's important is really when we talked about that diagram at the beginning, which is saying what we know and how it's helpful to people, this is a good example of that, right? Because it's saying for most people, they do care about kind of how Waze works, but really they just want to know if they're going to be late or really, really late. And that's something that we can bring to them because we have the most accurate traffic information on the road, right? So it's like for most people, when they look at this, if they're in their car and they maybe don't use Waze and they look at this, they say, okay, cool, Waze understands what's important to me. And I'm also assuming from this that Waze has really accurate information on the road because they can tell me exactly how late I'm going to be. And you can see that for most of the work in here, that really it's trying to make sure that we showcase what we know and how we know it in framing of people's lives, right? Like, are you going to be really late? Do you have the best route? Are you going to get to your appointment on time? All of that stuff is actually what really matters to most people. And we need to make sure that we communicate that we are the best provider of that information for them. Okay, cool. Next one. Yeah, so this is just a really simple idea because this user knows, Waze knows, avoid roadwork with community alerts. So this might start to dig a little bit deeper into what Waze knows and how Waze knows critically. So in this case, we know because other people on the road know or the community knows. And that's really critical because actually our competitors don't do that, right? So for Google and Apple Maps, they don't do that. And again, if we want to really dig into the community, and might be don't let maps get away with being wrong. Become a map editor and help fix the road. Waze knows. And another one might be a bit like this. So our community just edited the map. Well, you read this and this. Real-time map edits from our dedicated community. Waze knows. And then there's just a couple of examples here, which is on the left, we're talking about gas prices. So Waze knows where good, fast, and cheap gas intersect. Wazers don't let other Wazers get ripped off. So if we talk about this ad a little bit, we know that for most people, what they really want is good, fast and cheap gas, right? That's really what most people are looking for. So they just want that. They want getting gas to be as simple and as cheap as possible. But also in that little line under there called the subline, we also nod to this idea that it is a bit about community and Wazers helping other Wazers, right? So we kind of try to bring the story of Waze to life without big paragraphs and really complicated sentiments. And talking about a simple sentiment, it's very much like this as well. 4 butts are better than 1, Waze carpool. And a lot of these, the things that we've just shown you are the simplest possible form of messages. So this might be, I don't know, it might be like billboards on the road as you're driving past at 40 miles an hour. So the message has to be really quite simple. And then when we get into other formats, you'll see that these messages can become a bit more detailed and not complex, but they can really dig into those subjects a little more. For this page here, what you're looking at is basically digital banners or digital assets. So you might come across one of these, say, for example, I don't know, like on if you're in the New York Times app, or you're on social media, or you're on a website, these might be served up to you depending on who you are and what message we think would be important to you. And what you can see that they all revolve around this idea and often the language of Waze knows. And some of them might just have a mood that we feel really associates with the message. So if you look at the orange one in the middle, Waze knows it's easier to plan your drive than your excuse for being late, right? And that's very much a lot of people, when they do think about being late, they do plan their excuse for being late. So we're kind of hopefully trying to showcase that we understand people and the challenges that they have in their life, while also giving them an alternative to avoid that. But in others, we also have the app and we have the UI, if you like, or the working of the product, so that we can really showcase to people what it looks like in the product. So you can see the one above the orange box that I was just reading really says Waze knows it's easier to plan your drive than your excuse for being late. Is exactly the same headline, but in this case we show that you get a little notification telling you when to leave. So it's really about digging into what Waze knows and how we serve that up to people, so that we can hopefully be as simple and as easy to understand as possible. And I know we had a bit of a technical issue with this earlier, though we were really hoping to play you some of these audio ads that we created, and they're really fun. They're really fun ideas, and maybe we can possibly send them around later with the other video that we struggled to play. But it's really about bringing Waze knows to life in another way. And so it isn't only about Waze knows headlines. It's not only about these really simple billboards, but hopefully it should really be a platform that allows us to turn up in really fun and engaging ways later on. I know we have a social activation here that you might have seen online on our social channels already that kind of illustrates that. And that's this, do you know what Waze knows game show. So I don't know if you guys have seen it. I hope you have on our Instagram channels, but the idea is that we propose a question, which is an unbelievably complex question that nobody would ever be able to answer, just to demonstrate what Waze knows. So I encourage you to have a look on our Instagram account if you haven't seen those already. And really what the audio ads that we couldn't play on the previous page were really from the same idea. And you can also see on the left-hand side here that we have things like Twitter polls, so it says it's 8:15 a.m. and you're grabbing your morning coffee when a gaggle of geese block the road for 14 minutes. What time do you get to work? Of course, you're never going to know that, right? But the good thing is Waze does know that. And so it's really just bringing to life what Waze knows and how what we know is really helpful to you. Good.
So thank you, Jake. We've started to test some of this with different users, and then bringing it, both current users and prospects, and then actually testing it in market. In Q4, so basically October, November, December of 2020, we started to test this in the US from a paid media perspective in the New York metro and Boston metro areas. So if you are from those regions, you may have seen these in out-of-home billboards, you might have heard it on the radio or online, but it was what we were trying to do is, could this campaign, this creative, actually help get more people to drive with Waze. In turn, we call it monthly active drivers, but can they drive more, and can we start to highlight some of the features? And when I say drive more, they were going to take a drive anyway, but can make sure they think of Waze on that next trip. And so we have had some great results that I'll share with you, but this is something we are going to continue to roll out. It's important to note a lot of what we're sharing to you today, just for the simplicity of this presentation, is in English, but we've been working with our different country leads on how this campaign is adapting into different for different languages as well as cultures, because it's not necessarily straight translation. And so we've been working on that, and hopefully you'll start to see these things pop up in France, Brazil more, UK, and make sure it's adapted to that country, and many more. So these are just the short list, but we really want this to roll out. But when we've looked at this, again, this is based on the test that we did just at the end of last year, we had some really encouraging results for just the start of this. So when this was in market, we saw through the campaign, onboards grew by 6%. Our monthly active drivers grew by 3%. The one that I'm most excited about is retention rates increasing by 7%. So people who are either net new to Waze or resurrected, they've used Waze before, but haven't used it maybe in the past 90 days or so, or 30 days. They came back in and using Waze, and they had a more high likelihood to stay with Waze. And it's really encouraging when we see this last one. Through this campaign, right now we're seeing that users are 20% less likely to lapse, less likely to stop using Waze. It's the very beginning, so in some ways we have to take it with a grain of salt, because we want to really see how far this can go. But besides just a great storytelling mechanism to the amazing things that Waze does know based on our users, based on what you do, we also want to make sure it helps grow the business forward. And so we have some early results that are very promising on what that can look like. And with that said, is we actually want to make sure that you all are part of that as well. So a lot of what Waze knows, and Jake showed a little bit on a couple of the slides, even stuff that he didn't call it directed for you, like the lanes, like Waze knows to be in the right lane versus the left lane. That's based on what you've done. The gas prices, I mean, that's what you guys pushing us forward. So we want to make this even more hyper local. And how do we really bring it down to what Waze knows based on your specific individual contributions? I'm from New Jersey, though I'm sitting in Brooklyn right now. So Menlo Park, well, Woodbridge really, but Menlo Park was one of the malls I would go to. And does Waze knows the best way to enter Menlo Park Mall? From the west entrance versus the east entrance based on traffic patterns. And so we know that you, from a very hyper local perspective, have a lot. You've done a lot. And so it's not what you necessarily know in your heads, but what have you done with Waze? How have you helped shape what our users are getting the benefit of? We would love to know that, because we would love to feature that in some of the upcoming work so that Waze knows becomes more hyper local. And so there's a Google form here. This link will be shared in the chat. And it's super simple. It's just name, it's which community are you belong to, and what's the thing that you would love to share with us on what you have contributed to that now Waze knows based on that, and we will be in touch with you to talk more about that. We do have to be mindful of some of the things that you might share that we put in market. So I cannot promise that everything that is shared with us will go into something shiny like we just took you through, but we are super excited that you do a lot for us, and we want this to be something as we get to very specific locations, people realizing, oh, Waze knows this part of where I live because of what different parts of the community have done for Waze. So we encourage you to fill that out. And with that, that is the majority of our presentation. So thank you for listening. We're going to go into Q&A now.
Thank you, Tim and Jake, so much for sharing that really interesting presentation. I, for one, am really excited about the brand resource coming out in the Brand Center and getting to play with my own little mini Wazers. It's going to make my heart grow, and I know a lot of our users are going to be very excited about that. So as you said, we're about to move into Q&A. If anyone has any other questions, comments, ideas for us, go ahead and leave that in the question box right now so that we can get to your question or your idea or your comment as we move on. So without further ado, let's queue up our first question.
Let's do it.
So our first question is from Lori Naveen. Is there a press kit or repository with the new versions of Waze image that we can use in the forum or email signatures? I just cobbled together this from bits and pieces I found everywhere, but I prefer using official branding. And I just want to say, Lori, kudos to you for your cobbling capabilities.
Yes, so the short answer is yes. When you go to the brand center, we've tried to anticipate certain needs. So many of the assets that you use to cobble are there in a little bit better form, so you don't have to do as much of the cobbling. But we've also tried to anticipate some of the applications. I've heard from folks of, I want to put this on social. I manage this social account for Waze in my local area. And so we've tried to anticipate some of those things. And if there's something that's not there in a package format to make it easier, we want to hear from you, because we can do that pretty easily. Because right now, and to speak for Jake a little bit on this, we spent a lot of time making sure we had the foundation right. And so now it's actually a lot of fun to put together these things in the right packaging application form. But the brand center has anticipated that. And so we do have a repository of stuff there that you will be able to use.
Thank you so much. Let's go to our next question.
Next question is, are you planning on having a personal mood generator one day?
Yes. Oh my God. This is the question, right? There's like 2 or 3 questions that come up a lot. And yes, we've talked a lot about this. And so right now, to be very transparent, we don't have a working framework or prototype to share with you right now. That said, when we've gone and kind of rebuilt the foundation of Waze, I don't want to get too technical, but we made sure that something like this could happen in the future. Meaning we made sure that from how things are a grid and how we have standards of how things can now be made, from both the Wazer to all the moods to even illustrations. Jake has an incredibly talented team who's anticipated things like this. So one thing I would like to understand from you guys is, what would you want to do with it? Outside of, is it a one-time use thing so that you just have a mood for one thing, or do you anticipate this being something that you need to do, you want to do frequently? So let's hear about that. But we hear a lot about it. The bits are there in terms of like from a design and structure perspective. And so love to hear about what that would be. But even internally, we get this question a lot as well. So
just 1 second, I will pull our next question.
So our next question is from John. Do you plan on adding SSL so logging into the brand center is encrypted?
Yes. So this is something, thanks, John. This is something that we're currently, so what I've been told to say today is we're live, but we're not ready for prime time. So while we're live and we're going to give, and I told my team, I'm going to talk to the community on Sunday. I'm going to show them this. I want to start getting them access to it. SSL and encryption and how that works with login is something that they are currently working on with our development team on this. And so I don't know if there's a specific reason behind that question, but yes, this is something that we are doing and working on. And it's actually the thing that's hung this up the most, just to be honest with you, is actually not the content itself. It is just setting up kind of the login structure and permissions structure and how that would work. And this is part of that.
Great.
Thank you, team. Next question is from Alex, and it's, I'm finding that the biggest hurdle in working with the new Wazer is that there's an angle amplified by the wheels that objects like a hat need to match to look right. Pre-made resources that work are scarce. Could we get a kit of objects that we use to build Waze characters for our media channels?
So let me answer this a little bit, and then Jake, maybe you can fill in the details. So we know from mood creation is something that we want to do, that it's a lot of fun. And you're right, we have a point of view now on how the Wazer should look in the profile of the Wazer and how the mood should look. And it is actually a careful balance between, it's actually a little bit of like less is more, honestly. And what we don't want to do is accessorize moods to a point where you stop seeing the mood and it starts to look like something else. And so we do have a lot of on the brand center, you'll see we step people through that. What we don't have on the brand center are individual objects. So I think what you're asking here is something like a Mr. Potato Head. And if I'm misinterpreting, please let me know, where you can take a base character and then add on different elements to create whatever. We have these things predefined. And so Alex, we've obviously talked before, I would love to know more about what you're looking to do and how we might be able to help with that. But what we don't have it set up right now is to Mr. Potato Head it, because all of a sudden it could look like something very different, and we still want it to look like something removed from Waves. So we are careful with that.
Thanks, Tim. And now it's time for our last question. Let's put it up on the board. From Jeff, speaking of gas prices, the most common reports for gas stations lately is that the prices are wrong and they can't update the gas prices. What is being done to improve this aspect?
Great. I am aware of this. This is not. Go ahead.
Nope, go for it.
I'm aware of this. Marketing has also seen this. I'm working with our product team. What I don't have to share with you right now, because I'm not the right person to say how is this being updated right now. But I can tell you now, it is an active conversation to make sure it is accurate.
Absolutely. So definitely, team and Jake are not part of our product team, but I know that this is something that definitely our product team is looking actively into. And we are definitely going to be sharing more news as we get them from the product team.
So fresh off the press, there's one final question. How to have access in Brand Center?
So we are going to work with different community managers who I work with on a daily basis to set up the right permission structure. Make sure that we are giving you access to what you need. The last thing we want to do is we give you access and you're like, you've given me too little. I doubt you would say too much. You'd probably say, give me access to everything. But we want to make sure we're being helpful. And so what I can commit to is we as marketing working with the community managers in the next week to two, we will figure out what that should look like and make sure that starts getting communicated out to you. This is not a stay tuned, hopefully soon. This is something I know you guys have wanted. And so I want to I rather side on making sure you're getting the appropriate access, and then let us know what's missing, what more you would need, because this is really an organic site to help over time satisfy more of the needs of you and our partners. So it's not just for the community. There's other partners who execute on our behalf who have been asking for something like this as well. But we will be in touch and making sure that you get it. And it is a level, so we have levels of permission, making sure you're at the right level for the things you need.
Well, Tim and Jake, thank you guys both so much. This presentation was really, really interesting. We got a lot of great information and content from you guys tonight. We'll be sure to send out the link to the video that we had technical difficulties for and to those audio files to everyone later after we finish up tonight. And before we close out, I also would like to remind everybody to take the survey, which you'll be able to see right down below in the description. So please click the link once we sign out and let us know, give us your feedback. We're really eager to hear from you guys. And most finally, I am so bittersweet because Mauro this is his last office hours. And I just want to tell you on behalf of All the Ways staff and All the Ways community, how much we appreciate everything that you've done. 2020 was not an easy year. Mauro really stepped up and made it so that we can stay connected with you guys and to maintain our community relationships. And I just can say for everybody, we're so excited to meet Mini Mauro. So do you have any words to?
No, just thank you so much, guys. Best of luck for Brett. I'm sure he's going to be doing it amazingly. Keep it up until we all get back to normal. Again, thank you so much, Jake and team. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we'll definitely watch you at least with you and Brett in the next month, in the next edition of the Office Hours. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Talk to you guys soon.
Thank you. Bye.